All right, here's a quick improvised E61 ECM Synchronika dual boiler espresso machine review. Yeah, haven't really planned anything, but I'll try and cover all the bases. I might have done some kind of review before, talked about it in other videos, I'm sure. This is with the flow control. Simba says hi. Yeah, so it's just heating up right now. Yeah, it's a great machine. The things I don't like about it are mainly related to it being an E61 group, where it has a brew lever actuation switch, which activates a cam that goes in there. If you do a back flush with detergent, which is good to do every now and then to clean out the group and the whole ejection pathway where excess water pressure is released. Doing the back flush with detergent with soap, that causes that to dry out, and then you open it up and relubricate it. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt. Otherwise, the lever gets squeaky, and then right now it's starting to feel a little stiff. I did a lot of back flip, well, maybe because it's cold. I just did a bunch of back flushes the other day with just water, which doesn't seem to affect anything. I mean, it cleans out the coffee particles, but it's probably not as effective as using the detergent, because that's what gets the oils and, more stuck on particles that might be up in the group that's, more persistent. But I do find using a puck screen, any puck screen, it really helps to keep things cleaner longer. So that's my solution to kind of extend the time between doing back flush with detergent. Portafilters are nice and heavy. I like the angled. It's not really necessary, but yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but it's angled handle. Tell more when it's locked in. Yep. That was a weird sound. I actually had the naked one. I didn't love it because for the naked, it doesn't come with it. It's extra. So I had the naked portafilter, and because the handle's so heavy and it didn't have this massive weight at the top, for something like this, the stand, I felt more unstable, like it was going to tip over. There is like a stainless steel version of this, which is heavier, and that might work better. Yeah, I think it was more like the weight distribution. Although now, going back to this after using the naked light one for so long, this feels extremely heavy. So it takes a little getting used to going back to that. Yeah, I like the steam, yeah, right now steam boiler's off. But I like these switches. The problem, or the thing I don't like, is on mine at least, when I turn it on, it kind of has like a delay, um, which is fine actually. It's like a millisecond delay. But turning off, when I release this and I turn it back off, the steam keeps coming out for it kind of tapers off gradually. I want it to be like instant on off. It just feels more responsive. Probably not anything that's going to affect drink quality. Speaking of drink quality, yeah, temperature seems very stable on this. I had a rocket heat exchanger previously, and with the PID, and I didn't think the PID did anything on the heat exchanger. Yeah, I tested it a couple times where I went extreme, like extremely high, extremely low, basically no difference. Maybe it took 20 minutes for the effects to take place. I don't know. But on this, I could change it, 2 degrees higher, and I think I could tell the difference shot to shot. So it's good if you want to do you're doing a darker roast at 198, and then you want to do a lighter roast next, bump it up to 202, and yeah, we're ready to go. Right now I have it, lately I've had it set on 201. Yeah, and that's been working out pretty good, mainly for light roasts. The cool thing, I didn't know about this for a while, you can actually reach, there's a switch underneath here. You can't see it, but there's a switch. You just feel underneath the drip tray basically, and that will turn on the steam boiler. So that second light means steam boiler is on and heating up. I'm not going to use it, so to save energy, I'm turning that off. So yeah, you don't have to remove the drip tray to turn on and off the second boiler if you want to save energy, which is what I do, like, you know, because it takes, the other thing about E61 is it takes 20 minutes for the group to heat up. But like, you could see I turned on the machine just before starting this video and it's up to 200, and it was probably like, you know, 4 minutes or probably less to get up to 200. The problem is this part, it should be burning hot, like I shouldn't be able to touch it, but I could touch it. It's pretty warm, but it's not hot. So this part needs to heat up, and you know, kind of with old-fashioned, old-school thermodynamics, where the water will heat up and steam will rise, and it can kind of, you know, it siphons through there, thermosiphon, whatever. So that needs to happen sufficiently. You could speed it up by, oh, here's another thing that's good about the Synchronika. You can lift the lever halfway and it drips. So you can get a low pressure pre-infusion that way. And if you're plumbed in, if your plumbing is like at 2 bars, you can get a good 2-bar pre-infusion. And I believe this will actually read, yeah, it should read your pressure. So with just the lever halfway up, you don't have to activate the pump, and you'll get flow with line pressure or with boiler pressure, kind of dripping out. So it will be higher if you have it plumbed in. I don't have it plumbed in, so it's just kind of a light drip, which I don't know, some people say it's not ideal for pre-infusion, so I don't use it that way. What I do for pre-infusion is I go full. So this is turns like basically no flow. So 1 whole turn plus 1/4 is stock flow rate. So I'll keep it on that for like, you know, 4 seconds or so, and I'll start the pump. That will give a quick flow, which, here's one thing I noticed. Could just be my shower screen. I am using an upgraded precision IMS shower screen. I do notice, I think this is normal on most machines. If you have it on low flow rate, here I'm going to put it on low flow rate and I'll show you. Low flow rate, it doesn't come out evenly. But if I turn it up, full flow, this is stock flow, it's showering all over the place, which is what you want. So for the pre-infusion, when you're first getting the coffee bed wet, I think it's more important to have an even showering. So that's why I have it on full flow rate, just for the starting. And then I quickly ramp it down as the pressure is building up. So like I'll try and keep it between 2 and 4 bars for pre-infusion. Sometimes I'll have to stop the pump, have it halfway, and that will keep the pressure. It won't evacuate, like putting it all the way down, then it loses pressure and that will disrupt your puck. So yeah, you don't have to do that, and it's simpler on a just stock machine without the flow control, where that's kind of how I've been using it lately. I just keep it on this, and I've been trying to relearn how to, you know, dial in a coffee and just run a standard 9-bar shot, which I haven't done in a long time because I got used to using this thing. I hated it at first. I also had the same thing on the Rocket machine, coffee sensor brand. Sometimes this doesn't feel smooth, and you know what, the same thing, it's not an ECM thing. I thought it'd be better on this machine because I had the coffee sensor brand on the other one, which is basically equivalent. So I thought this one's going to be better because it's ECM brand, it's the same thing. So if you don't have one and you want one, yeah, don't be afraid of getting the coffee sensor one instead of the more expensive ECM one. That's up to you. So these flow control mods are compatible with pretty much any E61 machine. You can get the Synchronika with or without it. Yeah. I kind of grown to like it, and for like a shot where you don't have it dialed in and you have to, um, like if you do guess the grind size and it happens to be really fast, fast flowing shot, you can slow it down and you can save that shot. So instead of getting a shot with like 80 grams in your cup in like 10, 20 seconds, you can slow down the flow so you get a 30-second shot with a very low flow. It's still going to be low pressure, but the extraction will be more even and it will taste like coffee rather than just like a sour under extracted gross coffee. Simba wants to be on the video. I think he wants to go outside. All right. This is extra. I added this on. It's a German company. It's actually synthetic leather, but it looks and feels really real. So that's nice. Kind of gets probably is dusty. Whoop. But I think this should come stock. I think this is. I think it's really nice. The only downside is it kind of obstructs the the space so that at first, this was more likely to accidentally fall down when you have it open and you're gonna refill your water. But hasn't been a problem lately. You just got to make sure you kind of push it open and it stays open. But at first, it was kind of flopping back down on me, and that's not nice. What else can we say? Steaming power, yeah, it's not like super powerful. I found, but I find it's perfect. It's like for I do like 100 to 120 milliliters. Sometimes I do more because I make 2 shots of espresso and then I'll have a little bit and then I'll add milk to the last of it. Or sometimes 3 shots. But yeah, with my previous rocket machine, it had a 2-hole tip. This is also a 2-hole tip, but the holes on this one are smaller. Jeez. All right, I'm gonna let him out. What do you want, son? Oh, he sneezed. He's contemplating life. What is the purpose? All right, so I don't know if this is just me, but the other thing I noticed, sometimes it drips a little, so I gotta keep this over the drip tray. So like, don't keep it like that, keep it like that, because it's just like a couple drips. But you know, if I had, once I think I had the tamper thing like right there, and I noticed a drip on top of the tamper, I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, so like the steam boiler's not even on. Why is there condensation? I mean, I did turn it on for a second, but I don't think that had anything to do with it. There's also a limited range. Like if I want to poke this up, I can't really poke it up to show you, which is not something you'd normally want to do anyway. But yeah, so there's 2 holes. They are smaller holes than the rocket steam tip that I had on my previous machine, which was a heat exchanger with about the same size steam boiler. Yeah, but the rocket one was too powerful, so I kind of hated steaming with it. I didn't know how to steam with it. It was just too fast, too powerful. This one, oh, and then so what I did is I changed to I had to buy a 4-pack of steam tips on the rocket. I think ECM has a similar thing where you can buy a variety pack, or you can buy maybe single different tip options. I can't remember, but so I bought the extra pack for like $40 Canadian, and they're all basically very fast and the same, like 3-hole tips, 4-hole tips. very fast with many holes, and I think that's typical. But there was one option that was another 2-hole tip. So it went from 2 holes to 2 holes. The difference was the holes were much smaller. So the original tip had bigger holes. The new one is smaller holes, and that slowed down steaming a lot. So like instead of like 10 seconds to steam 100 milliliters of milk, it was like 20 seconds or 25 seconds, something like that. But it gives you time to texture the milk and inject air and do whatever. Not in that order. So yeah, I was getting much better results. It's just a lot slower, and I preferred that to the super fast, difficult one. So it might have been better for like larger milk drinks. Maybe that's what it's optimized for. But that's not what I was doing. So for my purposes, for like 100, 120 smaller milk drinks, this steam tip with the smaller holes, it's similar to the smaller hole rocket one, except it's much faster. So, but it's still easy. Like it's not as fast as the fast original tip on the rocket. So I don't know. Maybe it's like 15 seconds to steam milk on this for a small amount, rather than like 20 or 25 or 10 seconds on the fast tip. And you can get different tips, but also because it's a dual boiler, you can change the boiler temperature, which changes the boiler pressure. Right now it's at 0 because it's off. It only takes like 8 minutes to get up to pressure, I think, maybe 10. So like I was saying, to save energy, it's already been, now I can't touch this. Now this is hot and it's probably ready to go because I've been talking for 20 minutes. So yeah, now if I turn on the steam boiler, we pull a shot. In 10 minutes, my shot's going to be ready. I gotta grind, weigh things, whatever. I'm slow, I'm talking. It might take 10 minutes. You pull a shot. By then, the steam boiler is now warmed up. It's not like this where you have to wait an additional 10 minutes. All it needs to do is boil, and then as it boils, the pressure starts building, and the temperature changes how high the pressure is. So I have it set to, whoop, wrong one. Oops, don't want to change my brew temperature. So there we go. T2, 262, which I think is lower. No, I don't even know what the default was. 262, I think it goes up to like 1.5-ish bars. Yeah, I think. But yeah, it's good. It's sufficient. It gets the milk moving. And the other thing, I have another video showing my steaming method. I just sit the pitcher there and position the steam wand properly in there, and it kind of just steams itself. Like you don't have to hold the pitcher, you don't have to move things around. Just supervise and stop it at the right temperature. So super easy. What else can I say about it? It's yeah, it seems stable. Shots are good. I mean, you can also make really bad shots. The thing about manual machines is a lot depends on your grinder, a lot depends on your puck preparation. It all depends on a lot depends on you and what you're doing with your coffee, how long, what your brew ratio is. So many variables with espresso, but at least I know that this is consistent. So yeah, I think from what I could tell, the temperature is pretty consistent, shot to shot, and has no problems. I've done like 5, 6 shots in a row. Maybe not like super turbo like back to back like a commercial machine, but making coffees for family, no problem. Yeah, so good machine, can be plumbed in, rotary pump. I don't know, is it loud? Sometimes it sounds louder on camera. I'm used to it now, so I remember the first time I heard it, I thought it was very quiet. I think there are some rotary pump machines that are quieter. I noticed when the steam boiler is refilling, which it does very occasionally, very seldom, um, unless you empty some, unless you're using the hot water spout, uh, that loses a lot of water fast and then it will refill after that. It makes a little bit of a funny noise, and that's apparently the solenoid. I was a little concerned at first because it's like, why is it use the same pump? Why is it louder when it refills the steam boiler versus the running a shot? And it's because there's a solenoid valve that opens. It's a mechanical thing, and yeah, that's just the noise it makes. It's kind of a cool, weird metallic noise. Uh, there's an eco mode, which I think is BS. There's a cleaning reminder. So eco mode, basically, I have it set to 90 minutes. So if I turn on my machine, I forget to pull a shot, I don't do anything, I don't pull this lever for 90 minutes, it basically turns itself off. It's not low energy, it's not like an energy saving thing. I mean, it does save energy, but it basically is the same as someone saying, oh, you left your machine on, let me turn that off for you. You just lift the lever and it turns back on. But like if it was off for 2 hours, it's going to take some time to heat up again. It's not like it keeps the group warm. It's not like some sophisticated eco mode where like the boiler is using less energy but somehow keeping everything warm. Nothing magical like that. It's just a dumb feature. I mean, dumb as in like on or off. Like not. It's good to have in case you do forget your machine is on, and like why keep it on for 2 hours or 3 hours if no one's using it. I think the default is 30 minutes, which I think is too, like, I'm all for energy saving, but 30 minutes is too fast. So like, let's say you're making breakfast, you walk away from your machine, you want to heat it up for 20 minutes, you overshoot that by 10 minutes, now your machine's off. So if you catch it like, 5 minutes later, it's not going to get cold, it's not going to turn off, and it's only been 5 minutes, it's a big hunk of metal. So it's going to get back up to 200 and the group is going to be nice and toasty in no time. But if it's been off for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, like, you don't know. I don't know how it's going to affect your shot temperature. So yeah, 30 minutes is a little too aggressive in its energy saving. I'd say do an hour or 90 minutes. That should be fine. That way, if you forget your machine, you're not wasting energy. But if you do a longer heat up, you're not running into the problem of it turning off on you and then having to heat it up again, which might actually use more energy if you are turning your machine on and having it heat up again, because that's when it uses the most energy, when it's first heating up, because it has all this water to boil. There's also lots of options. You can get panels that are made of anthracite, like this color, kind of powder coated. It has a rough texture. I kind of like it. You can get that on the side panels too. There's an anniversary edition which has that on the front face as well. Kind of cool. I think I like that, but it's more money. You can also get one with wood accessories. I don't like the wood look on this one, and it's also ridiculously expensive, so I would not recommend it unless you're a big fan of wood and you care more about the looks than money. But yeah, I'm not like that. Looks are nice, but yeah, I don't know. And also, like, why do you want a wood portafilter holder? It's like, I think plastic is better in some cases. Like it's tougher, it's not going to absorb moisture, it's going to stay good forever. You can probably drop this and nothing's going to happen except to your tiles or your foot. Yeah. Like I just ordered the Weber Buck portafilter, and I didn't go for the wood option because I think plastic or rubber is just a better material for the job. So not everything has to be wood. It kind of looks nice on this. This is the Zerno. But yeah. What else can I say? What do you need to know? The drip tray is pretty good. Pretty big capacity. It could, yeah, that was one complaint on my Rocket. It was like such a big machine, and the drip tray could have been so much deeper, but it wasn't. This one looks smaller than it is. It has a pretty big capacity. Not huge. Like I had a QuickMilll, smaller QuickMilll machine originally, and that one had a huge drip tray for a smaller machine. So I was coming from that. So when I got the Rocket, I was like, what the hell kind of drip tray is this? But yeah, and it does drip a little bit when it's warming up from the back there. I think that's normal. So you do get eventually, water starts adding up in there. But I don't do cooling flushes. That's one good thing I should have mentioned earlier. I don't have to do cooling flushes. I don't know. Maybe some people do with the dual boiler. I don't know, but I don't, and I think it's been fine. Yeah, that's one problem or one concern I had with the heat exchanger E61 is that with the PID, some people are saying, "Oh, you don't need to do you don't need to do cooling flushes," and it seemed like sometimes I didn't, and then sometimes I did with the Rocket machine. So I never knew what it was doing temperature-wise. I should have, if I had a heat exchanger machine again, I would definitely, and I recommend this for anyone who's thinking getting a heat exchanger, get one with the thermometer mod, not the flow control. Unfortunately, I don't think you can have both at the same time. On a heat exchanger machine, I wouldn't bother with this until you understand how your temperature works, because it seems to fluctuate and be more of a mystery with heat exchangers, and you need to do cooling flushes. So that's why I just, I upgraded to the dual boiler, and just much easier, no nonsense with temperature surfing and cooling flushes and all that stuff. So yeah, I like it. Makes good coffee. I've also made some bad coffee with it. So, you can't just depend on your machine to make the coffee good. It's on you with one of these manual machines. It takes some learning, some work. It helps if you have a good grinder or three. No, you just need one. Just one. It's probably simpler and easier to dial in coffee with just one grinder. So yeah, I make things more complicated. Also, I found flow control that also makes things more complicated. So like, yeah, just another variable to mess with, which is fun if you like experimenting. But if you're just starting out for espresso, I would maybe recommend just keeping it at one setting, or I don't know. Maybe I'd recommend against getting it if you're new to espresso, but it does help if your grind size is way too coarse. So up to you. If you think you're going to experiment and you like pressure profiling and tinkering with stuff, then it's good to have. Yeah. So yeah, I recommend puck screen. Definitely recommend. I like self-leveling tampers. Good accessories to have with a machine like this or any espresso machine. Self-leveling tamper, WDT tool, needle tool. That I found made a big improvement in coffee quality, reducing channeling. Something with thin needles, not a bunch of thick needles, especially not compacted together. It's nice when they spread out a little. Yeah, oh, the other thing, opening this machine, so it's supposed to be easy. You have like one screw for each side panel, maybe two for like the front. I forget, there was like hardly any screws to like open up the thing, but getting it back together was a real pain in the butt. I couldn't get these side panels on right. I had to fight with it a lot. I don't know if it's just me and not knowing what I'm doing, but I managed to get them on. But like, yeah, I don't want to have to open it up. And also, you know, I'm worried I'm gonna scratch it every time I work on it, which is why I don't want to have to open this cam up and re-lubricate the thing, because there's risk of scratching. Um, yeah, and on a nice shiny machine, you wanna try and keep it shiny. Uh, One thing I noticed, there is a little, like, it looks like corrosion on the. It's like I think the newer one on the, yeah, you can see that. So on the newer model, there's a plastic, like a rubber plug. This is a plug that you remove for if you have like a drain kit where it drains into your drain instead of having to empty the drip tray manually. Um, yeah, so that's cool that you can do that. But on mine, on the older model, it looks like it's corroding, but it feels smooth, so it's not actually rusty. So I don't think it's going to affect anything. Just something I noticed. I was a little concerned at first. I'm like, oh, is that going to rust and leak? But I don't think it's going to leak because it feels like it's totally solid still. It just discolored. Um, what else? Oh yeah. So the other problem that some people had that I think they solved now. There's a T connector inside which directs um, some excess dripping or steam pressure into the drip tray. Some machines will just vent it inside the machine itself, which causes moisture. It could, eventually lead to rust. So not ideal. uh, so the ECM machine, it routes it with a T connector, which is plastic, and then it vents it to one of these. I think this one. Uh, so that's good, but they used a plastic T connector, and the plastic apparently gets brittle and falls apart after a few years, maybe 2 to 5 years or so. I took mine out after a year and it was still nice and solid, no problems, no leaks. But I replaced it with a metal brass T connector instead, so that should last forever instead of having getting brittle and falling apart. And ECM was aware of this, and apparently they've changed to a metal part now, so not a problem anymore, and not a problem on mine. But it was a pain in the butt to open up the machine and get access to that. Like, just so many like wires and things in the way. But watching the whole latte love videos, they and other people as well, they praise this machine for like having easy to access, well organized internals. But for most people, you don't want to be messing around in there, and it was just awkward to like grab the part because it's connected to tubes on 3 different sides, and I didn't want to pull on anything too hard and like break anything else while trying to replace the thing. So it was like kind of a tight space to work in because I didn't want to, and it was hard to disconnect. Like it was stuck on really well, which is good. That means it's not going to leak, but it was hard to get the tubes off the plastic connector and onto the metal connector that I replaced it with. So luckily, I don't think you have to do that on the newer ones, um, because yeah, they switched it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So haven't had many issues. I think once the flow control was acting up, it seemed like the flow rate was inconsistent. So like I'd have it on low flow, and then I would go faster, and then I'd adjust it a little faster, it would go slower. Um, so it was kind of like something was obstructing the flow in certain positions, so it wasn't acting how you'd expect it. Um, so what I did is I took out the mushroom, this whole part. I took that out. I soaked it in some citric acid descaling solution. That cleaned it up. Whatever was in there has dissolved. I don't know if that was from like perfect coffee water because I used that for like. And then for a little bit, I was using Brita filtered water, which goes from 8 to 3 grains. So that that reduces hardness a lot. And then I was also using an in-tank rocket ion exchange filter, which removes calcium, adds sodium, but it does so over, it's not that effective because it's slow, so it needs to be in contact with water. So I was using that in the Brita pitcher in the fridge, which might not work as effectively because it's colder. So for a bit I was using that. It should get the water down to like 2 or 3 grains hardness, which should be okay, but maybe eventually some little bit of scale built up, and the first place it will go is, first place you'll notice it is there. So I cleaned it out, haven't noticed a problem since. It's been like a year. Seems to be consistent flow, so that's good. I also had an issue once where the steam wand was clogged up, I think. I don't know what was going on in there, but like it seemed to be low pressure, even though boiler pressure was good, temperature was good, but it seemed like not much steam was coming out, or it wasn't coming out as hard and fast. It wasn't spinning the milk as much as it used to, or as much as it should. So what I did is I just took off the tip, and I think I used a pipe cleaner to like stick up there, and I think a clog came out. And I also turned it on and shot out whatever was in there without the steam tip on, and that seemed to help, and haven't had a problem since. It's probably been a year since that happened. So yeah, maybe I was using maybe something in the water that I was using a while ago caused these issues. So you got to make sure you use good water. I've been using half the dose of not perfect coffee water, although I really like the taste results I got from that with a light roast. So if I get a machine that isn't, if I get another machine with like the meticulous, where it's not a traditional boiler where it has water concentrating and under high pressure, then I'd probably use perfect coffee water, just because it has chlorides in it, and I think that tastes better, but it's corrosive to stainless steel boilers, so I didn't want to risk it in this one. I tried it once, and I really liked the results, the taste, but worried about long-term use. I think ECM said it was okay. Of course, perfect coffee water and the shop selling it said it's okay. But yeah, people that know boilers and espresso machine repair say not to do chlorides, especially with stainless steel. It's the opposite problem of scale. It's corrosion, that it might cause micro pitting in the boiler, and then you can cause leaks in like the welds or whatever. So some people have had that issue apparently. I don't know with this machine particularly, but could happen. So something to be aware of. What I use is third wave water in distilled or reverse osmosis mineral-free water. And I do half the amount, and that's been working out. I found full dose kind of over extracts, or like it makes it too easy to over extract. With half the amount, it works better for me. And also I'm using half of it, so it's basically you get twice the amount of water made with it. So also half as expensive. So it's kind of a win-win. Use half the recommended amount and get more out of it. And also less minerals, less potential for scale or corrosion or whatever. Although I guess, maybe not less potential for corrosion, but I don't think reverse osmosis water is really corrosive, especially if you're adding some minerals to it. I've tested the pH, I've tested the hardness after remineralizing. I forget what the numbers are, but I think they were within a good range. So and a lot of people do that with half the amount of third wave water. So yeah, I guess I recommend it. That's my machine. That's what I think of it. It's got some cons. I like to nitpick, but overall, I've been happy with it. I like it. It's been good. And yeah, a lot of people like this one. It's a popular high-end model. I can't believe like they could fit. I mean, it is big. It's heavy. That's one downside. They got a 2-liter steam boiler in here, and haven't looked up the specs in a while, but 2-liter steam boiler and 800 milliliter brew boiler, which is pretty big. So yeah, that's that.